All right, today we're talking about gaming communities, what it takes to build a gaming community in our stores, and the benefits of having a community. Welcome to the Dice, Cards, and Coffee VideoCast. I'm Dustin from BG's Tabletop, and I have with me
George from Gaming Grounds.
And I'm Dave from Fire and Dice.
In today's episode topic, we're talking about gaming communities. We're going to talk about what we do in our stores to build those communities, the benefits of having communities, and some drawbacks or challenges to growing communities. But before the episode topic, we're going to do a new segment. We're going to talk about what's hot.
Oh, yeah.
So for our What's Hot segment, this could be anything that's hot in our stores, anything that's very popular that we're playing recently that's hot for us. So who would like to start with the What's Hot segment?
Sure, I'll go. So me personally, I got to play Nucleum. It's a board game that was kickstarted. Some of my friends got it, and I like it. I enjoy it a lot.
What kind of game is it?
It's a heavier game. It's tableau, kind of like a tableau building. You have like these science upgrades, and I don't know if you play Brass Birmingham, but it's somewhat similar with some little tweaks and extra stuff to do.
Okay.
I enjoy it. I think you guys will enjoy it also. Maybe, I'm not sure about Dustin. I haven't played a lot of board games with you as much as I did with George. So
Is it an economic-based game?
yeah, you gotta like build a building, you gotta power it, and then you gotta build a rail system that connects to your building and all that stuff. So.
That sounds like Brass.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I liked Brass-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this one
this
one's definitely like less forgiving, I guess you could call it. Because I think Brass was like your rails have to be the one connected.
It's more forgiving.
Yeah.
Or less forgiving.
More forgiving.
Oh, okay.
Well,
because Brass is very tight.
Yeah. So Nucleum, like you just need at least one rail in that connection to make it linked up.
Okay.
Like but anyways, that's my favorite hot game right now.
You know when it's coming out?
No.
Okay.
It's just part of
It was a Kickstarter?
Yeah, one of my board game group has the Kickstarter game, so got to play it.
Okay. Nucleum. I'll have to look into it and see if it's an order.
One of the things that I've seen, at my shop now is the new Warhammer. It's the old world. They're going back to the old world, so you have things like wheeling and ranks and things like that I played with like 20 years ago. Oh. So I'm actually excited for that.
Oh, nice. So it's got it's like an old mechanic. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. They're kind of just bringing that mechanics in that game back, to be played in it. I'm really interested in it because I know the rules already. So.
Oh.
We normally just do 40K, but now you're making me think maybe I need to do Old World.
Old World's
we ordered
cool.
like a couple things.
So that's interesting because within the last, Nintendo's kind of been doing it for a while, but nostalgia is very, it's a thing. Like,
oh yeah,
nostalgia factor is a thing. So the fact that you're saying that you played it back then, like, oh, now I'm excited because they're bringing it back. So it's definitely going to be an interesting way to draw people back into it or get new players, play how it used to be played, I guess.
And for people like me, you can bring your old figures that you have and play the game with them.
Oh, you could do that?
Yeah. So I have a bunch of old figures. I'm like, I don't need to buy new ones.
That's huge.
But, new players will be like, oh, I want to try it. And so they'll buy the newer product.
That's cool. Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah. Having, I think that's important part of a hype game is like having people who used to play, like, oh, I remember this. This is going to be fun. Yeah. And then new people or the current people are like, what do you mean this old mechanic thing? What is still, kind of sparks an interest. You know?
Yeah.
How about you, Dustin? What's new and hot here?
I'm going to do two.
Okay. All right.
So number one, we already talked about a couple times, Wormspan. It's not out yet.
Yeah,
by the time we release this, it'll probably be out to retail. Stonemaier does like their own crowdfunding thing, so some people did get it. You said you've seen some people play it in your
I've seen it played 3 times already at my shop.
I also got to play it from my board game group. It's not my... it's a good game. Not my, like, let's play Wormspan. Definitely better than Wingspan.
Okay.
I definitely prefer it over Wingspan, that's for sure.
Yeah, I haven't played it. We have a demo copy, and I've showed it off to some customers and stuff, and we've gotten calls about it. Yeah. So we just, when that customer came in, they looked at the demo copy, I created a ordering, button for it. So we just started taking pre-orders.
For sure, if you like less RNG, because Wingspan has a dice resource mechanic, where you roll the dice, right?
Right.
And what's
Wingspan does.
Wormspan, you pick
your resource.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's interesting.
That's so.
So what's your second one?
Number 2 is Daggerheart.
What is that?
It's a new tabletop RPG in beta from Darrington Press. They are the ones from Critical Role.
Yes, I've heard of it, but not too much about it.
So we've gotten a lot of interest for that. And we are going to be receiving the beta here soon, so we'll be doing some play testing.
Oh, okay. Too. Nice.
Yeah.
What's the setting?
I'm not too sure.
Okay.
To be honest.
All right.
I'm pretty sure it's fantasy setting with the own twist to
it. What is it? Yeah, I don't know.
Check that out. We'll have to check it out.
We'll have to put in.
Well, that's why it's beta, right?
Yeah. There's definitely a theme and stuff, but it's kind of one of those things as an owner, I just know that it's popular, and I don't look into it. I just okay, let's get on this.
So you get it in your hands probably and take a look through it.
I hand it off to my community.
A lot of people that love RPGs, when there's something new, they want to try it out. It's always good to try something new. That's what I like. I guess one more hyping.
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Unlimited, the card game.
Probably talk about that one.
Yeah. It's just within literally a snap of a finger, it went crazy hype, and now it's allegedly out of stock at distributors, and obviously now you got the scalpers involved and whatnot. Yeah. But there's a lot, at least for us, there's a lot of people playing it. So,
well, let's go into that community.
Yeah.
So let's start with Star Wars Unlimited.
That's true.
So I feel like you did Star Wars Unlimited similar to how we did Lorcana and or any of your games. But I don't know. How did you start with Star Wars Unlimited and building that community?
Well, when I went to PAX in December, I got to demo the game first. Demoed it a few times because I was like, I wanted to, play more of it before I, give my own opinion on the game. And after I played a few times, talked to some of the designers, I was like, oh yeah, this is, I like the pace of the game, the mechanics of the game, and the objective of the game. I liked it, and then liked it enough that I contacted my Asmodee rep, and then talked about, oh yeah, I want to get some products, and then I went on our Discord, the store Discord, and then I, made a channel and all that stuff. And then I posted, hey, new Star Wars Unlimited game that's coming out. Who's interested in it? And then slowly, as, months went by, I would start posting like, all right, so who's interested in XYZ products? Let me know. And then this would be the price rate if you want to pre-order it now. Kind of like an early bird, I guess, price.
Yeah.
And then it was, pretty well received. I would say just enough for me to be like, all right, I'm gonna do this. And then I started to, order more than what was asked or wanted, I guess. And then started to print out demo decks and do demos at the shop.
Right.
And then slowly, a little bit more people got interested. And eventually, I originally had 24 pre-release. No, wait, 16 pre-release. But then I was like, all right, maybe I should do more. So I did 42. And then we sold out all of it.
Oh, nice.
So, and from there, we did, people were buying boxes. Unfortunately, not enough accessories.
Yeah.
Like the playmat and the acrylic tokens.
Right.
Not
yet.
Yeah, it's interesting that they didn't print as much acrylic tokens because it's definitely a huge part of the game.
Right, the token, the -1.
Because the
damage.
game is designed where the damages stay on the card,
right.
Unlike Magic where it's gone at the end of the game. So very important to have like damage tokens and whatnot.
Yeah.
So how do you think the demo decks actually helped you get build the first part of your community there?
The demo decks well designed.
Did you have a lot of people trying them out when they came in?
Okay. Yeah. Because they did end up sending us like 3 or 4 demo decks or start. So to be clear, it's not actual demo decks. They're starter decks that we use for demo.
Right.
And then classic
Cool.
Luke Vader.
Luke Vader.
And they did a great job designing the starter decks. And
they pitted father versus son right off the bat.
And then it played well against each other. And then people enjoyed I think a lot of people well received was that it is an action game. Action-based game. It's not, all right, not your traditional TCG where it's, all right, it's my turn. I'm going to draw a card, do this, play a bunch of stuff, attack, do more stuff. That's my turn. I do only one thing, whether it's attacking or playing a card, and then you get to do one thing. So it's more chess, so your decisions might change based off your opponent's action. That was the most well-received part of the game, I think.
Okay.
It's different. That's I think that's the biggest takeaway why it's pretty hype.
That's just one small part of your community, I'm sure.
Yeah. So because of how hype it is now, there's a community now built.
Right.
So
building.
I think one thing that we started talking about hype product, and I think hype stuff definitely is part of building a community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we did a similar thing for Lorcana, and it was just about gauging interest, taking initial pre-orders, and then because it was hyped, we had an easy pool of people to pull through and get a strong community going. And then now Lorcana's been out for 9 months.
Third set.
So
give or
10
take
months.
10 months, yeah.
And we still have that strong community going because of building that hype and getting a good, you get a bunch of people in for the hype, but not everyone sticks around to play part of the community for long term.
Yep.
But a good chunk does if you do like what you did. You start off, gauging interest. You start devoting time and effort towards that game in your store.
Yeah.
And you become that store that we're going to do this. And your other players can feel comfortable investing in that product because they know they're going to have people to play with.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Star Wars, I was advocating it. This is actually going to be a good game. You guys should, I was you want one box? I think you should buy 2 boxes.
I think it's really important too that the manufacturer has steps for you to grow your community. So they have things for you to run leagues. Yeah. They give you prizing support or, little things to give your players. Things like that help build the community as well. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm pretty sure we talked about it in another episode where I talked about being able to provide product for your local community. Because if you don't have product for the local players, then they can't play.
Right. We did talk about that with Lorcana. Yeah.
So I think that's one big part of community building, because if they don't have the product, they can't play, and that means there's going to be no community at your store.
What are some communities you have? Because your store is a cafe. So
yes.
I know we had an episode about TCGs, and you don't do a lot of TCGs.
Right.
And that's kind of for the most part, I would say to be successful with the TCG, you need a community. There's some exceptions like Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
You don't need Pokemon's kind of our lowest in-store play community, and it's our highest seller. So it's,
Gotcha.
I think you can get away with it. But for a cafe that doesn't do TCGs, what are some things you do to build gaming communities?
Well, I think the first thing I'm going to do is go out and get some Pokemon cards. Start selling them. Yeah. That's probably the first thing. No, with Magic, I love Magic. I like playing the game. Love-hate relationship. I know I've said that before. But I don't really invest a lot into new sets. I get them here and there. But we have commander night, and when we first started, it was 4 players. Took a few months, maybe 6 to 8 months, and now we're up to like 16 players in the night, and it's just it's cool to see that community grow and see how you see the same people every week, and they all get to know each other. It's a lot of fun watching that community grow, and that's not something we really focused on. That was something they did and wanted to do themselves, and we just accommodated them by giving them a space to play.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing. One easy step I think we can take as a store and seeing how it goes is just providing some space and then seeing if it's something that works for our business too. Because of course we can't just like we pay rent, we pay labor and stuff. So of course there's a overhead or a charge for playing too.
For the cafe it's a little different because getting the people in there is really important. So what the event isn't as important as long as they're it's something enjoyable and it draws people and they keep coming back for it. But we're selling food, so that's really what getting those people in to have fun and enjoy the food at the same time is what we're really striving for.
I think
for us.
So I think there's a lot of different type of communities. There's the I'm only going to play with my friends community at one of their homes. There's the I'm in a little group that will meet up somewhere, or meetup community, right? And then there's the event scheduled at a game store community. And then to each their own. I'm pretty sure people have done at least all of them at once, if not every time.
They mingle. You mean through the different groups?
So
like the different communities.
I'll play. I have our own small board game community. Friends that we just play randomly on certain days, but then I'll still go to the Friday night board game at Gaming Grounds when I can. And then now we're going to do the George thing. There's a lot of different type of communities out there.
You also brought up a good point about like starting off. I know from one thing I learned very early when I started my business career and tutoring and doing those types of services is like being comfortable with, I don't know if you want to call it failure or like just being told no or just things not working out. So if you kind of run an event as a store, you have to be 100% comfortable with no one showing up, right? That's a real potential. And you have to just either fight through it and continue to try it again and again, or just, move on to something else. How do you guys decide like where or what and how much effort you put towards doing something that doesn't just take off from the start?
I mean, it's obviously a little hard to have like a stock line that you're like, okay, if it gets here, we continue. If it doesn't, every single community event that we have is different. So it just depends on the event. Like we've had a cursed hours at our shop. So like after 10 o'clock, you can sit there and we play kind of not safe for work games.
Oh, okay.
And we had little tournaments, it was fun. We had some themed drinks made as well, like the booby latte, which was kind of fun. But we tried it for a few months, and just after a while, we've stopped doing it.
Okay.
It just and it was just a call that we had to make based on everything that was going into it. You have to have employees there maybe a little later. You have to, you just have to take everything into account. Each one's separate.
Oh yeah. I mean, when you're trying to push for something different or new, obviously if the turnout's, not good, or you just gotta let it go and move on and try something else, I think. I mean, like, I love board games, and we've tried to do board game nights at the shop back then when we used to sell a lot of board games, and then we used to do board game tournaments and all that stuff, organized play board game stuff. It was hard,
Yeah. Was that hard to let go for you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love board games.
Yeah.
I'll play a game for hours if I can. But
why aren't we playing one right now?
Maybe we should.
We can do a live playthrough.
Yeah. We'll talk about something and play at the same time. But
that's a good point. We should be playing one.
It took a while to let go. It just not enough draw back then, I should say. Now it might be different because board game definitely has hit mass market almost. Yeah. It's almost there, hitting everyone.
Yeah,
well, I think
it's still growing. Well, it's still growing.
It's still growing.
Yeah,
it's still growing. Slowly, more celebrities coming out that they're playing, D&D and all that stuff, but it's still growing.
But you go to like Target and you see
it everywhere.
Oh yeah, you see
whole back row shelf of modern hobby games, which is cool.
Yeah, but there's still a lot of people who pass by and be like, "What is that?"
But come here to buy your games instead.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's the hardest part, getting the customers right.
The thing is, like, they don't at Target. You're not going to get someone to sit down and explain what the game's about.
There's no gaming community at Target.
No, exactly.
They're in the aisles playing there.
I was going to say, next thing we know, we walk into Target, they have tables set up.
You never know.
Barnes and Noble.
Oh man, we just gave them an idea. Damn it.
You never know. Like what's the craziest thing about all these big box stores that they don't have a community. Like so GameStop, it's kind of crazy to me that they've never built a gaming community that have like a tournament or something, weekly or something. It's just crazy that no one at GameStop headquarters was like, hey, we sell a lot of products, but not a lot of them are in store. So all this desk space, let's add some more monitors and consoles and have a thing there. It's crazy to me that they didn't do that. They have all the accessibility of the consoles and controllers, and it's just crazy. Because when we used to host Smash Bros. Tournament, they were like, "Oh, do you guys sell controllers or amiibos?" It's like, "Oh no, we don't. We just run the events."
Right.
So while we're running Smash tournaments at the time, in my mind, I was like, "Why is no one at GameStop thinking about this? Like, why?" It's crazy.
They did try it.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Oh,
I was just looking because I remember seeing an article about like they had one like lounge space that they tested out a pilot program for.
One lounge space pilot. Okay,
but
that's a little different.
I think you're right because one cool thing about our stores in tabletop gaming space, I would say most game store owners went into this industry and this business with the idea that like traditional retail shopping is no longer a thing, or it's not going to be a thing as much as it has been, right? And we're all about providing an experience, a shopping experience more than anything else. Right. And being this third place where people have outside of their home and their work, they come hang out. Yeah. And that's why, again, community is so important because it even solidifies that shopping experience for like, I have people coming to my store and I feel like I'm friends with them. I see them pretty regularly and get a chat and like I know them by their name and so I think that's super important.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That we do. I think us three. I feel like I can speak for us three.
There's definitely an extra connection from someone just going to a big box.
Yeah,
definitely it's there. But I mean, that's why having community in your store is definitely important because of that.
Yeah,
I do want to go back to one thing too because the question I asked, a good example of how I'm handling whether it takes off or not is Star Wars Unlimited. Okay. Since that's popular right now and it's relevant so we started taking pre-orders. We asked our community who was interested. We had a couple people interested. I would say probably like 4 or 5, maybe 6. And we decided, okay, we'll try it. And so we ordered, from Asmodee, they had some bundles. We ordered one of the bundles. And we had a launch event, and or like a pre-release event, and then we had one sealed event, and now we have another sealed event. Pre-release, I played in because we only had one player. So I played with them, which was cool. Win? No, you mentioned how the game works. I am not used to that type of game. I was used to Magic, like building up my board state and then doing things.
Right. No, this is different.
I always forgot to attack.
Yeah,
it's like if you can attack, you should attack. At least the base. So I lost pretty bad. And then we had a sealed event, and we just had 2 players show up. But what's interesting now is this hype that came after instead of before, which Lorcana, there was the hype, quite a bit of hype building up, or at least like right when it came out, the hype was there.
Yeah.
With Star Wars, whenever this episode comes out, it's been what?
2 weeks.
About 2 weeks,
Second
and
week,
now the hype's there. So we'll see how our sealed event does, and then
Okay.
we may continue. If not, like, we may schedule the sealed stuff or
Right.
Star Wars stuff with other stuff in our store, because we're maybe expecting like 4 players at most right now.
Yeah. So I mean, it's new game, and as you mentioned, like there was really no huge hype before it released, and now it's like getting a momentum of hype. So I mean, sad to say, the hype right now is because distributors have told game stores that they have no boxes for them.
Yeah. I
And
kinda
then
saw
that word got out, and so
rumors.
now the scalpers are coming in, and then driving the prices up. But for our store and then the community that I kind of cater or built, it grew before the hype. Like our league players
Yeah,
were
you
it's
guys-
20 players before product was
that's
announced
a
as
good
sold
number.
out.
Yeah.
And I think 20 is just for the
Pretty
league,
good.
not our Friday constructed. This is just the league.
Right.
And 20 people. I think that's a good number.
Yeah, it's
pretty good.
For a new game that didn't have hype like Lorcana. Like Lorcana, like we didn't have to advertise anything. It was just like, hey, we have product.
Yeah.
And people are like, all right, I'm there.
Yeah.
That's how Lorcana was. But Star Wars different. I was like pushing, demoing, stuff like that. I was working, getting people in the doors and,
Right.
showing them the game and all that stuff.
That's a good point. Like how much energy you put into it as well, right?
Yeah.
Like trying to get your community excited about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So going back to the Star Wars. So I think it's in a healthy place right now, community wise. The only issue now is going to be the people who really want to get into the game. It's going to cost them,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. I told our players like, hey, can't get any more boosters, but I set aside enough product for our sealed league, slow growth sealed league.
Okay.
Well,
Well, that's probably why your numbers are up in that sealed league.
no, this
right?
was before the
Oh, this was before.
Yeah, so
Okay.
20 people before the hype.
Oh wow.
And then this morning I checked messages, and then people were asking for product.
Right.
Some guy was
Yeah,
asking,
like,
"Oh,
sorry.
is there still room in the league?" I was like, "Oh yeah, we should be able to accommodate a few more players in the league and stuff like that." But I think,
So, what would your suggestion be for Dustin then?
I mean, it's kind of hard now because distributor said no product until later, most likely as set 2 releases or set 1 release. But I think people, for the most part, people have cards to play. So I think constructed event, honestly.
Okay.
I think that's the way to go because there's no product. I know you still have some for the sealed event, but
Yeah. TCGs are just, I feel like I've learned in being here now 2 years is you have to really invest that effort in to it,
Upfront.
and you kind of have to take on the risk.
Yeah.
it is
upfront
definitely
If-
a risk
If
reward.
Star Wars
deal.
wouldn't have taken off,
You've been stuck with
yeah,
a
you're
bunch
stuck
of product,
because
right?
we took that risk with My Hero Academia. Like I played the game at Gamma the first year I went.
You liked it, and
The people that gave the presentation, they executed it well, and I was like, all right, I'll support this game. And then we sold like I think 2 booster packs
yeah,
the whole year we had it.
Okay.
I did have a couple special orders from someone for the next set. I'm like, okay, I'll special order it because I don't have to buy
Right.
the whole bundle, which I'm not necessarily a fan of anymore. I learned that too.
yeah.
Star Wars, I did the bundle because it's just a little bit better and is perfect with how much we wanted to order. But yeah, I don't know. TCGs, you gotta take on the risk. You gotta go for it.
Yeah,
And
you definitely enjoy the product enough for you to push it, and then 2 is getting trying to build a community early on, trying to explain the game. Before the demo copies came in or the 2-player starter demo copies came in, I've done a print out a deck and let's play.
Yeah.
I did a few of those, and then people were enjoying it.
Yeah.
so I wanna shift gears because we were talking about a lot of TCG communities.
Oh yeah, community,
which is a big part of game stores. However, there are other communities. So I want to ask about both of you guys. Like, as far as I know, Day, you do D&D mainly, and then George, I know you do like other role playing games as well as D&D, and then also Warhammer is another community that some overlap. Miniatures, and then board games too. Like, do you have any like comments on any of those communities and how you've grown them in your stores, or what worked or what didn't work?
D&D was grassroots, I would say, mainly because they had Adventures League. When we opened, they started doing Adventures League. And so we had a group of people who were interested, and there was a DM that was interested in DMing. And then slowly that community grew. Like, people knew, oh, there's a Adventures League happening, here at every Wednesday and stuff like that. Because there was already a lot of people playing D&D, but the Adventures League is a whole new thing because you weren't committed to, sit every week.
Right.
It wasn't a commitment.
You come and
play one adventure,
yep.
and that's it.
Yep.
You can show up next week with a different adventure. It won't be.
So
It may not be the same time frame or storyline, but you're not committed.
How many players are you getting for that right now?
Oh, now is after the pandemic, it never grew back to its original form. But in store, we have 2 tables now. Before we used to get like 4 or 5 tables.
Oh, yeah.
But
4 and 5 is pretty good.
We have a great DM, Eric. Thanks, Eric. He during the pandemic he created Discord and ran it through that. So we still have people playing on Discord still continuously.
And I'm assuming Eric is part of the Adventures League community or D&D community. And that's somebody who came to you and said, hey, I want to do this.
Not originally. He was part of the original group.
But,
one of the original.
But he grew from that.
Yeah,
group.
exactly.
And now he's leading the Adventures League. That's cool.
Probably know him. Chris Venuti.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was actually our original D&D our coordinator.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
That's one of our original DM and stuff like that.
That's cool.
Yeah. I love how community builds community.
Yeah.
Like we have a Friday night board game meetup, and we'd get 15 to 20 people. Now we get probably 30 people every Friday night. Yeah. Sometimes 40. Yeah, where it's they take over the shop, and like Friday night I've made it board game meetup night. And we actually stay open till midnight now. It's like secret hours. We stay up, just open a couple hours later just for them. But they're great, and it's what I really wanted the store to be like. People coming in just connecting through board games. A lot of new players. They're all very friendly. The community is great, really fantastic. So.
You make a good point, too, because, I mean, of course, we're all gamers to start, and that's, I think, sometimes a weakness in business, when you get into business with your passion, but also a strength. And with your board game community, you got to the point where, like, you did some things that you wouldn't normally do because it worked well for your business as well as for the community.
Right.
What made you like decide, hey, this is a good step to take? Let's stay open a couple more hours because, we're getting the players and stuff.
Yeah. We start the timing at 6 p.m. and I love board games. I know if I'm somewhere from 6 to 10, that means I maybe get 1.5 board games in because I like the longer, longer games. I could probably get 2 games in that time, but that's not a lot of the time. So I was like, let's give them a couple extra hours. 6 hours sound like a great amount of time, and it's been working out. It's they really appreciate, I'm sure, the extra time too.
Yeah.
But
definitely.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
As a customer, yes.
And that was all started actually by my daughter. She started a meetup group there, and it just when we first opened, and it's just from when we first opened till now, it's just grown and grown.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really
and
cool.
word spreads like, hey, there's a place we can play board games and drink coffee,
and they
eat some
stay up
food.
until 12 on Fridays. Like
You know what? If they can, they'll stay up longer.
If I didn't run this store, I would be there every Friday.
Yeah, that's why I'm there sometimes on Friday, and if I do, it's like 8:00. So before we were closing at 10, I'm like, I'm here. Maybe I could play a game, but hang out and talk with you guys.
So we used to go to Game House as much as we could, but it's quite a drive. The fact that you're in Chatsworth, and if another life, I would be there pretty often.
If I didn't own a store.
Yeah. Now I'm just there to open my laptop and talk about the convention.
That's so funny.
But yeah, community is.
Like you open a game store and you're like, I'm gonna be playing some games. Nope.
You get to watch it.
Doesn't happen. Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much.
But it's also fun teaching teaching new players how to play certain games. I enjoy that.
Oh yeah.
Now there's another person that's that hopefully gets passionate as I am about playing these games.
Yeah, that is amazing.
All right. I think we're going to move into our convention segment because we're on a pretty long episode. Okay. If you want to hear us talk more about gaming communities, let us know in a comment. We can do episode part 2.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I didn't get to our open mic night, our trivia night. There's so many different things.
A lot of things to do.
Let's talk about that before we go into the segment. As far as because you do some non-traditional hobby game store stuff.
Oh, yeah,
how do you decide what to host at your store, and how well does it help build that community for your store?
A lot of times it's through our employees and through our community already. They say, hey, would you guys do a open mic night? And we're like, sure, let's do it. And we start it, and it's been fantastic. We get some pretty good talent in there. So, and it helps that it's a cafe, right? That it has a different vibe, than just a game store. There's other aspects to it. But we do the trivia night too. That's we started that from a customer saying, hey, why don't you do trivia nights here? And we're like, sure. And we just try it out. Let's do it. So we get a lot of things done from either the employees or the community coming up and saying, hey, I would really be cool if you guys did this, So, yeah.
So are you pretty much an open door as far as what you'll host, or are there some things you're like, eh?
I've had a few things I've had to say, nah, probably doesn't fit.
Yeah.
But we've had, this wasn't even us, a witches convent or convention, or I'm not sure what to call it, but they were coming every Wednesday night, and there was 6 to 8 people coming, and that they were a part of a witch community. And
okay.
I mean, they just sat and talked and did whatever,
did some seances and
I
don't know.
I don't know.
Exactly. I've heard about the witch community. It's interesting.
But that's nothing to do with us. They just came to hang out.
Yeah,
and that was cool.
That was cool.
Yeah.
And one other thing that maybe we'll save for part 2, because we gotta move into our convention segment, is what we do outside of our stores and going to other communities and stuff like that. So if you want to hear about that, part 2. But let's jump into our convention segment. All right, we're a convention segment. We're talking about the location. So we're in Los Angeles. We're all game store owners in Los Angeles.
Yep.
And we wanted to put together a convention. We kind of talked about, I think we talked about in a previous episode why we wanted to do the convention.
Yes, we did.
So the destination convention eventually is the thing we want.
Yeah.
Yep.
We did look at different areas, right?
Yeah.
And we settled on the Burbank Marriott.
Yeah, which I think is good. Definitely for a first convention, I think it's perfect.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's perfect.
And when we went, I think maybe you mentioned when you chatted to her on the phone that it's a convention that a lot of people start at too and move.
Yes, I remember. The sales or the event coordinator or
event coordinator for
that's
Marriott.
what she mentioned. A lot of new conventions start there.
Hi, Cheryl.
Yeah. And then they move they've had some conventions start there, and now they're in Long Beach.
I mean,
convention
it can only
center.
hold so many people, so they do have to move, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Right. It's not a huge space, but for us, I think it's going to be perfect.
Yeah, it's a good
I'm
start.
excited.
I think do we have a number of how many people it can hold? I mean, we've looked at some numbers as far as how many tables we can fit in the space and a good capacity, but just for reference for people, I want to say it's 3,000 people.
If every room is filled, yes. I think.
3,000.
But then
I
we
think
don't know yet
Little high.
if one room's to be more popular than the other. That means some rooms will be less empty than others, right?
I would say 1,500 to 2,000 people would be a comfortable.
Comfortable, yeah. Because gaming tables take up space too.
Right.
That's the thing, right? Like if everyone's standing only, I'm pretty sure 3,000 will fit.
Yeah. Well, I guess just like a frame of reference for that versus like Long Beach Convention Center is what, probably 20K, 30K, something like that.
It's pretty big.
Yeah. So it's pretty intense to hear that some people started there and now they're at Long Beach Convention Center. But as far as Burbank, like there's a lot of cool stuff to do in Los Angeles. So if you are traveling, I mean, LA, spend a family vacation, come to the con, Disneyland, Universal Studios.
Yeah.
Burbank Airport's like right next to the convention center.
Another
Hollywood's not too far away.
Hollywood.
20-minute drive.
That was a shock for me when I first came to LA. It's like this is not like the movies.
Like,
no, well, most of the movies are back in like the 80s, 90s, right?
Yeah,
now it's totally transformed differently.
I mean, I love LA, but it's just first time when I first came, it was very.
It's a little shocking.
Yeah.
I
love
culture
but I
shock.
love the grunginess of LA.
Yeah.
Like, that's appealing to me, I suppose. But
there's a lot of things to do.
Yeah, there's so much to do in
museums,
Los
you got
Angeles.
The beach, like it's just
and the best airport to fly in and out of Burbank. I mean,
yeah.
Like you're gonna fly in from
you
anywhere.
You don't have to hit the 405 if you're going to LAX.
And there's also like plenty. One thing also for me, coming from Omaha, Nebraska to Los Angeles, any night of the week I can go see a comedian. Concert that I like. I can go onto my app right now on a Tuesday night and I'll find a band that I would want to listen to, which is pretty nuts. Like, in Omaha, I would get my band coming through there once every 2 years. It's like, oh, my band's coming. I can't miss it this night. And it has to be a Friday or Saturday night. Otherwise, I am not going to see them.
I think that's one of the biggest take why, it is the cost of living here is definitely high. But the biggest take is that there's a lot of things I can do.
And the weather's a little better than Nebraska.
Yeah,
probably.
a little better.
Just a little better.
Yeah. And I mean, as far as like the location, the Marriott, we have hotel rooms available for people. Those will be.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good, nice spot. You just walk over to the convention and you can stay up late.
10 foot maybe, or maybe a little bit more, but. From the door, exit
door
to
like,
the entry door, it's like 10
Whoa.
Maybe not from
you
your room.
Open your room and you're in the convention hall.
Right?
You're playing.
Just put a bunch of bunkers and.
That's the VIP experience.
Right.
We'll carry you to the entrance. When you wake up, the bed's like inside the convention hall.
I'll do that. Yeah, also food around there is pretty good. There's a lot of good places to eat, like right around.
Right across the street.
Yeah. I mean, LA's got the best food in the world, I would say. Yeah. As far as like variety and like not top, but you can get
a lot of variety
excellent
for sure.
Food for any cuisine that you want in LA.
A lot of good barbecues are popping up now.
Like what kind of barbecue?
Like Texas barbecue.
Oh really?
I went to this is kind of off topic, but I went to a buddy's barbecue pop up the other day too. That was really good.
Yeah. I have a theory with food because I like to travel and eat different places. That I'm seeing more cuisine, different type of cuisines that like, why is this here? Like, I went to Missouri to visit my relatives. My cousin took me to a ramen place, Japanese ramen, and I was like, it's like, oh, this is the best ramen. I'm like,
ramen,
best ramen in Missouri, right? I had it, and I was just like, I was amazed.
Really,
their noodles were like. Man, the noodles are real good.
Oh, I'm hungry.
Because the more I thought about it, like, so I went to Utah, Salt Lake City, best Thai food I ever had. Best Thai food I ever had. Huh. And then the more I think about it, I was like you mentioned LA having the best food. Probably, maybe. I don't know. But it's so congested with all these restaurants. If someone new that wants to open a restaurant, it's going to be almost impossible for them to compete.
Yeah.
So what's the next best option? Just open it somewhere else.
Okay. Like Missouri.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's working.
All right.
Literally went there
next restaurant, Missouri.
4 p.m. There's already people waiting in line.
Dang.
And then
that's crazy.
We got there waiting in line, and then once they're open, just other bunch of cars driving in, waiting in line.
Probably not much to do there. That's probably why. I'm just saying.
I love the countryside.
But food is important, you know.
Yeah,
like when you go to a convention too, you want to have, you know,
Food
experiences,
good food around the area. And then, you know, we were thinking about doing food trucks. So I'd like to hear what you guys think about that. You know, would that draw you to a convention?
Yeah, and there's some really good food
trucks.
There's
a lot of good food
in
trucks.
LA. Oh, man. I remember the Korean...
Kogi truck?
Yeah, what is it? Korean...
Tacos? Bulgogi
tacos?
tacos?
Yeah, Korean Mexican taco truck.
Kogi truck.
They're still around, but
they're still around, but I think they have a home base.
So popular.
And they still have a truck or two running around, but...
I think I'm going to get that soon.
Yeah, that's the thing. Now there's a lot of street vendors. Excellent street tacos and burritos now. Yeah. Like almost every street, like turn left, right.
That's
like
so
you can
true.
you see a tent, and then if
Someone
you ever here in the San Fernando Valley, red tent.
Red
on the street, if you see a red tent, that's the spot.
Good spot.
Now everyone's gonna have a red tent now.
Yeah, I guess. But you also know, you see like they have not just one, they might have 3 stations and a line. You know, that's like clearly something they're doing something good, right?
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
All right, so that is our location, Burbank Marriott. Come hang out in Los Angeles with us. Try some food. Go to some shows.
Play some board games.
Play some board games. Maybe? Yeah. That's something you can do. All right. Well, I'm Dustin from BG's Tabletop.
George from Gaming Grounds.
And Dave from Fire and Dice.
We'll see you next time.